The name Tim Donaghy still resonates in NBA circles as the ultimate cautionary tale about integrity in professional sports. During the mid to late 2000s, Donaghy was an NBA referee entrusted with enforcing the rules of the game. Yet behind his seemingly ordinary role, a hidden world of gambling and compromised officiating was unfolding. When the scandal broke, it rocked the league, raising questions about how even a single referee could manipulate outcomes and taint the league's reputation. Although the NBA swiftly acted to address the fallout, the Tim Donaghy saga remains an unsettling reminder that the quest for fairness can be upended by greed and temptation. To understand how Donaghy found himself at the center of an officiating scandal, it helps to revisit the NBA's climate in the early 2000s. The league was riding high on new stars, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Allen Iverson, and LeBron James, while seeking to distance itself from the brawl-ridden 90s image and to showcase a more global brand. Publicly, officials were perceived as mere functionaries, expected to be invisible enforcers of the rules. But referees hold significant sway in shaping the flow of a game, from calling fouls to controlling tempo. With gambling interests forever lurking, it was perhaps inevitable that a vulnerability might surface, no matter how tightly the NBA strove to preserve a squeaky clean image. Tim Donaghy began officiating NBA games in 1994. Initially, he blended into the background of the referee corps, a figure in gray slacks and black shoes who whistled fouls and signaled calls with no distinguishing flair. Friends and colleagues described him as competent, though prone to heated on-court exchanges. Over time, Donaghy developed relationships with certain bettors, leading to a dangerously slippery slope. He found himself placing wagers on NBA contests, some of which he was assigned to referee, and allegedly feeding inside information to bookies about potential officiating tendencies or player matchups. This arrangement benefited both Donaghy and the gambler. By sharing insights on foul calls or game rhythm, they stood to profit immensely from the betting line. Rumors about Donaghy's gambling connections brewed for some time, but the scandal only exploded publicly in the summer of 2007. Federal authorities, investigating suspicious betting patterns, zeroed in on Donaghy's phone records and monetary transactions. The NBA office, led by Commissioner David Stern, reacted with shock and dismay. A league that had painstakingly built itself as a global entertainment product now faced a crisis of credibility. If a rogue referee were influencing outcomes, how deep did the rot go? Stern famously called Donaghy a rogue, isolated criminal, aiming to reassure fans and sponsors that this was a singular case, not indicative of systemic corruption among NBA officials. As details emerged, Donaghy pleaded guilty to conspiracy to engage in wire fraud and transmitting betting information. He admitted to collaborating with conspirators who utilized the info to wager on games, some of which Donaghy himself officiated. The prosecution insisted that Donaghy had compromised the integrity of professional basketball by making calls that could affect point spreads and final scores. Donaghy claimed he never directly fixed the outcome of a game, only that he provided tips on how a game might unfold based on player-referee relationships or the league's emphasis on particular rules. Regardless of the extent of direct manipulation, the damage to the NBA's image was substantial. Publicly, fans and media alike debated how many games might have been swayed by Donaghy's calls. Investigations revealed suspicious call patterns, yet the league maintained that no single contest's result had been unequivocally altered. Still, the stigma of one official profiting from insider knowledge fueled conspiracy theories that other referees or even the league office might be complicit in shaping marquee matchups or superstars' fortune. Stern's administration took decisive steps to tighten oversight of officials, imposing more rigorous background checks, financial disclosures, and accountability measures to help rebuild trust. Donaghy's subsequent behavior only fed the storm. After serving a prison sentence, he wrote a book detailing his claims of broader league manipulation, accusations that the NBA strongly denied. Critics denounced him as a self-serving figure seeking to profit off scandal. Some fans, however, found Donaghy's revelations compelling, especially in the wake of controversies like the 2002 Western Conference Finals, where officiating already spurred debate about possible biases. Whether or not one believes Donaghy's every assertion, his whistleblowing highlighted the precarious edge between refereeing impartiality and external pressure. In the years that followed, the NBA gradually emerged from Donaghy's shadow. Teams and players continued to produce thrilling moments, and younger fans often had only vague recollections of the scandal. Yet behind the scenes, the league transformed its officiating infrastructure, improved referee training programs, new technology allowing real-time review of calls, and a renewed emphasis on transparency, including a last 2-minute report for officiating in close games. The hope was that no official could ever again exploit personal insights to influence wagers, or, at the very least, the risk would be minimized. For Tim Donaghy, the consequence of his choices lingered. Once considered a competent official with a respectable career path, he became a pariah in the NBA world, his name synonymous with betrayal of the game's integrity. Other referees, stung by the scandal, found themselves under heightened scrutiny from fans who worried that any questionable foul might reflect something sinister. Meanwhile, pro basketball watchers began reconsidering how deeply gambling might affect sports, prompting other leagues, NFL, MLB, NHL, to reinforce their own vigilance on gambling policy. Today, the Donaghy scandal remains a cautionary reminder that even the tightest professional operations can harbor vulnerabilities. As sports betting gains wider legal acceptance in multiple states and countries, the risk of insider tips or compromised officials potentially increases, though so do the guardrails. The NBA learned that genuine vigilance, robust oversight, and a willingness to investigate suspicious patterns are vital to preserving trust among fans, players, and investors alike. In the end, the Tim Donaghy referee scandal exposed a dark undercurrent in a league that prided itself on high-flying stars and polished marketing. For a time, it threatened to undermine the fundamental belief that every tip-off, every foul, and every buzzer-beater was fairly contested. And yet the NBA managed to navigate the aftermath, emerging with a heightened commitment to clean officiating. Even so, Donaghy's story endures in basketball lore, reminding everyone that where competitive glory and money intersect, integrity can never be taken for granted, and that sometimes the biggest threats to sports come from within.